Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's Virginia. I'm your host, and today we will be talking Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Corey will be back very soon to recap another episode with me, but for today, it's just me. So let's jump right into Law and Out of Order. For me, the crazy footage was, whatever from last week. And that's how this started with the whole Blair Witch Project thing. You'll remember that last week ended with Meredith allegedly missing and having taken off. Well, she probably went to bed because day two begins with all of the girls in the RV. I have no idea how they all slept in there. And maybe it was a trick of the eye, but they all did wake up in pajamas and they all came out of the RV. So, as far as I can tell, they did indeed sleep there. I am so impressed that Mary was such a trooper and actually hung out for the duration of the trip. So the next morning, of course, they're all making breakfast. Well, actually, Meredith ends up making steak because Mary doesn't like the way Bronwyn is cooking her steak. So they throw two big steaks on the flat top and they put, and then Bronwyn cooks some bacon right next to it. And it was pretty funny when Mary was trying to cut the steak out of the bowl. I mean, I don't know who planned this trip, and I'm hard pressed to give Angie a hard time because she's my fave. But girlfriend, you need to do better if you're going to be planning trips. Now, I know the girls are going to Greece, and I heard that was epic, so I'm going to go ahead and give her the benefit of the doubt. But apparently, they all sat around and ate protein for breakfast, and then Heather started talking about the guilt that she has because she's so happy that this part of her life is almost over. Her daughter, Annabelle, the youngest, is leaving to college, and she's happy to be done with this role in her life and see what's next. And so Bronwyn tries to commiserate and steps in and tells her that, her daughter's kind of in the same place, but she feels differently. She feels like she's not quite done parenting, and so she asked her daughter's boyfriend to move in instead of her daughter moving out. And in a way that made Heather feel bad. So of course Heather gets defensive and, we're off to the races. It did not become a big O thing, but you could tell that Heather was pretty put off by what Bronwyn was saying. And in my opinion, Bronwyn was trying to commiserate. Now, I don't feel as strongly about Bronwyn as most do, one way or the other. So I tried to look at this through pretty clear lenses. I didn't see anything wrong with her trying to relate. Like, Bronwyn's trying to fit in. You guys give her a break, let her fit in. Where she fits in, give her an opportunity. And then Whitney chimes in to tell us that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom now so badly, but she can't be because of everything that's gone wrong with their businesses. And then in the very next scene, we see kind of a sad scene between Justin and Whitney. And they're talking about the business loss, and Whitney's in tears. And it's just very sad how this has affected their life. And it's refreshing, however, to see that they're sticking together, at least for now. There had been some buzz, allegedly, that their relationship was struggling. This could be at the root of why, or it could be a bunch of baloney. Who knows? So then the next scene that was, kind of deep, gets even deeper. We have Mary and Robert Jr. Whitney asks if, how Robert Jr. is doing. And Mary says, well, they made a pact. They had a conversation with Robert Sr. And her and Robert Jr. when he got out of rehab. And they made a pact to let him figure it out on his own because they can't fix it for him, and they realize that. But Mary says that, he's still not 100% okay. He has good days and he has bad days. So let's see what happens with that. But then the RV, as they're finally getting ready to leave, gets stuck in the rain or in the mud. And everyone but Mary gets out to push it. So I don't know if this was a joke. I don't know if this was production. I don't know if the damn thing was stuck to begin with, but it had me in stitches. The idea of Mary sitting in there waiting for them to get the RV moving. And then when they went to the confessional, when she says, I ain't pushing anybody's RV, and she just shakes her head, that was priceless. I was in stitches. And so they finally do get out and they get home, obviously. And then we see a couple of cute little clips. One is Angie and her daughter are walking Celia, the dog, who apparently, according to Angie, is a lesbian because she wants to go hang out with the other girl dog. And then we see another little scene, a snippet with Meredith and her hubby, and they're talking about the 3 turkeys. And so we've got the Mormon turkeys because apparently there's 1 man and 2 wives. I don't know, but this was kind of just cute and funny, and it gave me a little chuckle, so I wanted to mention it. And there's going to be a party. Jim and Amy Steele, I guess Amy Steele is a socialite in Utah that's having a party, and everybody's excited, all the buzz. But before that, Lisa and Heather meet for lunch. And of course, Heather spills the beans about all the girls talking about her on the trip and says the following: I think Bronwyn was there to annihilate you. So, well, at least you're not pouring it on thick, Heather, and at least you're not trying to, add fuel to the fire. It's good that you're trying to tamp down the drama. I don't understand why she had to. Listen, what was said and what was done at this trip was not great. And in fact, it kind of sucked that Lisa wasn't there to be able to speak for herself. But it wasn't to the degree that Heather is relaying it to Lisa in. And the thing about it is that this happens all the time, and that's what starts the bullshit. So mark my words, Heather just started the drama, and it did not need to happen. Now, we knew she was going to tell her, but she didn't need to set her up to be on fire. And in my opinion, Lisa, thou protest too much. There's something to all of this because, wow, she gets activated. And she talks about how everything's dismissed and they're all dismissed and it's all nothing and everything's baseless. And you guys, not yet. There are still, allegedly, even though they're open court documents, I'll say allegedly, pending court cases that are unresolved. Heather asks Lisa about what's going on with all these court cases, and Lisa says it's an old business partner and they're all baseless claims, and that it's somebody from 15 years ago that is upset. And then she kind of pivots and says the following: tell me how you digest this. I live a very different life from all of you. Oh, Lisa, so condescending, really? Even Heather was like, really? I mean, come on. Lisa asks if anybody stood up for her, and Heather says that Meredith was quiet and Angie co-signed on Bronwyn's words. Then Lisa suddenly gets highly emotional, and even though she's trying to compose herself, she starts crying, and she tells Heather that she's fine. She's really, really fine. Do we think she's really, really fine? No, I don't. This whole thing is not going to end well. You could tell that the fact that Lisa is so defensive about all of this is going to kind of cause more drama than it needs to all season. And I'm here for it, you guys. Let's move on. Whitney and Bronwyn go ski/snowboarding together. I thought that also was a really cool scene. I thought 2 things. Number one, they're actually really good, especially Whitney. That girl could do some moves and make some tricks and do some moves. And I was impressed. Color me impressed. And I feel like they just had a fun moment and that it was needed. So then Lisa comes up again, of course, and Whitney tells Bronwyn, just challenge Lisa and let her know that you're not against her. Do you agree with Whitney? Does Lisa have double standards? I believe she does. I don't know. And it's a little weird, though, that Bronwyn is so invested in uncovering all of this tea and drama and juice. I mean, she's researching court documents. She can verbatim tell you what's in those papers. And I get it. She's pissed off about what happened last season. And like she says, it's not, tit for tat. It's just I'm meeting her where she's at. And I mean, they have to be on a show together. What's Bronwyn supposed to do? Just crawl in a hole and let Lisa run over her? We know that Lisa will if you let her. Anyway, it turns out that the mystery man, allegedly, that gave her an Amex and John didn't know about it. Do you remember that? Okay. So I don't understand where this is going, but I think it's going to really... Do you guys remember how pissed off Lisa was when Utah Jazz came up and the tickets and what she does for tickets? Oh my gosh, that lasted all season and she just couldn't let it go. She just kept trying to vindicate herself. And again, thou protested too much. So I, to this day, believe that there may be a sliver of truth to that. Now, I don't have anything to back it up, so don't come at me. But, there are a lot of people that have receipts, allegedly, of this having happened. If we thought this season was going to be hokey, I think we could safely say after this scene that we're wrong. Mary and Rob Jr. have another super deep conversation, and I want to respect this situation, so I'm just going to report on it. But Rob Jr. says that he's at a standstill and that it's still really hard and scary. And then he goes on to tell Mom that he's been isolating and that he's using things to medicate himself, for lack of a better term. And when she asks him what, he says food, and she looks a little relieved. And then she says, anything else? Like, things aren't as bad as they were, right? And he says, and then she says, did you smoke today? And he says, yes. So apparently he's also smoking weed. And that's how he's been coping. So Mary has a very sensitive and tender approach in this situation, and it's understandable. And then in the confessional, she tells us that she's backed off. She's letting him make his own decisions. And then when they get back, she tells Rob Jr., we're fighters. We fight. And he kind of nods in agreement. So we'll see what happens with this. One little side note, I did notice he was playing with his ring and it was on his wedding ring finger. So we haven't heard if he's still married to this person, but he's still wearing a ring. So maybe we'll learn more about that as the season continues. Nonetheless, that scene kind of broke my heart. This kid's really struggling, and it's just heartbreaking. Heather and Bronwyn meet for lunch, and it's so awkward. They just kind of both sit there and stare at each other, and then they agree they need to order a drink. And then Bronwyn immediately tries to clear up her comments from, about Annabelle and Heather being done with that point in her life. And Heather says that she did hear her words, but it came across as if she was kind of saying that she was a better mom because she's still not done. And Bronwyn corrects her and says, no, I actually was saying that I haven't done a good enough job yet, so I need more time. And I don't know the sincerity behind that, so I'm going to take Bronwyn and Heather both at their words. They move on, but Heather does want to know why Bronwyn brought up Lisa's business issues on the trip. And that's when Bronwyn tells her that she kind of meets her where she's at. She's not trying to be retaliatory. She's just meeting her where she's at. And Bronwyn points out that she thinks that it colors how Heather feels about Bronwyn. And I don't disagree. Heather says she doesn't have anything against her, but I don't disagree. I think it does change her dynamic with Bronwyn because she is friends with Lisa. And then we are getting ready for the Amy's Saturday social. The house looked gorgeous. The party looked beautiful. Honestly, everyone looked great. And there are two notables. Obviously, there's a lot of buzz about Bronwyn's Christian Soriano dress that she wore. And I'm neither here nor there. This is her style. Let her express it. But my big takeaway was how incredibly gorgeous Heather looked in that plum colored gown. I mean, listen, she's worked really hard. Let's give her flowers. She looks great. Really, really good. And I was really proud of how she is carrying herself these days. And it seems to me like she just really kind of wants to move on to another chapter in her life. I hope she finds that. I'm not the hugest Heather fan, but for some reason, I don't know, I'm starting to soften on her. Well, everybody starts to show up, and then enter Lisa. First thing that happens is she goes over to chat with Meredith, and she's almost kind of, I don't know, it felt like being called into the principal's office. Her first task is to find out if, Meredith, is there anything I need to know? And it sounded like she was trying to bait her into admitting that she had done all these horrible things. Meredith says the chatter was not nice. And enter Britt. Brittany does not want to interrupt, but she does want to give Lisa a big old hug on screen and show all of us that they're dear, dear friends now. And immediately spits out the fact that Angie compared Lisa's alleged issues with the law and with the courts to Jen Shaw. Whew. Lisa loses it, and we're off to Loca Lisa land. I mean, goodness gracious, before you know it, she storms over to Angie to confront her next, and Angie tells her the truth. Well, by this time, poor Jim and Amy are looking around, and there are other people who are just shaking their head in disgust. Even some of the other housewives are just mortified. And according to Lisa, apparently Bronwyn can't read a court document because she didn't go to law school and probably didn't go to college. And Lisa starts to cause the scene. She's yelling, and Bronwyn steps into Lisa and tells her it was her who said it, so let's just discuss it. And then Lisa dismisses her, which was one of the funniest moments to me. In the confessionals, Bronwyn says that the only thing that Lisa needs to get dismissed is the lawsuit. She needs to ask the judge to please dismiss the lawsuit against her. And I just thought, man, Bronwyn's on fire today, and I am loving every second of it. You could tell that Lisa starts to kind of lose control of the situation, and then she tells her, now you're loitering. At this point, you're loitering. So that's hysterical. How the hell do you loiter at a party you were invited to? I mean, if anybody is being disruptive, it's Lisa. And she's shouting, and they're having this big old confrontation. Meanwhile, the three guys are talking in another room, and Jared has butts when it comes to being in love with Britani. No, really? Goodness gracious. Lisa resorts to calling Bronwyn, wait for it, a Gout D sucker. I was dying. Like, what? I had to rewind it. I was like, did they say what I thought they said? Holy cow. The audio's not great, but I think it's worth it. Take a listen.
I'm a dick sucker now. Gout dick sucker. I thought gout was in the feet. I didn't know that you could have gout dick.
I haven't heard someone called Gout Dick since the Civil War, since the Battle of Gettysburg. May gout take hold of your willies, you treasonous bastards.
You know, when you were like in grade school and you would get into an argument with someone and they would start like getting the best of you, and then you would just try to think of the biggest, sickest thing you could come up with to upset them back, and then you would say something really, really profound like poo-poo face? Yeah. Well, that's what this felt like. Really, that's what Lisa came up with. She's so like much better than everybody. And what was it that she says? She lives a very different life than everybody. Yeah, well, you're not showing it. You're appearing pretty basic in this moment. But you guys, the argument's not over yet. And Bronwyn starts to get the best of Lisa with, in my opinion, the best line of this episode. Bronwyn tells Lisa, well, at least my husband buys my clothes. Who's paying your Amex bill? Kapow. What a zinger. Then we get the screenshot of the court documents as proof that Jazz Tickets guy from a couple of seasons ago did indeed have a card in Lisa's name, and there's text proof that Lisa didn't want John to find out about it. So, I mean, who's the liar pants on fire here? Anyway, they flash to poor schmuck John, who's oblivious, apparently, that all of this is going on. And then Lisa comes up with her sickest burn yet. You are such a pig. Oh my God. Girlfriend, you need to go back to like burn school, because this is just not, it's not giving. Bronwyn clearly is getting the better of you. You sound like a fool in this moment. You look out of control to everybody at that party. And oh my gosh, you're not even winning. So what's next? Your mama's fat jokes? Lisa. Honestly, I'm super proud. Honestly, I'm really super proud of Bronwyn and how she handled herself in this moment. We see that this is far from over, because the preview shows us that Lisa has a lunch for the girls with poster board presentations included. I guess to prove her innocence, and we'll see what that's all about. Again, thou protest too much. That was the episode. We'll be back next week to cover the continuation. I know that I gave it a 5 last week. I like this one significantly better. I think I'm going to go as far as to give it like a 7.5, maybe even an 8. So that's good news. Things are looking up, at least in my opinion, for this show, and we'll cover it again next week. There's a little bit of Bravo news that we want to finish off with. Lala Kent has rebranded herself and her podcast. Apparently, she's all grown up, and she has a new podcast that she just launched. Her first, she had a 2-part, premiere with her baby daddy's ex-wife, Amber Childers. Now, you guys probably all know that she's very, very close to her. She calls her sister wife, and they have a pretty unique relationship. I listened to the first episode of the podcast. It's called Untraditionally Lala, and no more Brother Easton. So we'll see. I think she is trying to show that she's more grown, and that's all good and fine. But we'll see. And in other news, Summer House has a spinoff. Currently, it's got a working title of In the City, and we are supposed to see Lindsay Hubbard, sans baby, because her baby daddy does not want the baby on TV, and Kyle and Amanda, and then of course there'll be other cast members, but we'll see. I mean, everybody's been looking to see what the Summer House people do during the week, and what those of them that are too grown to hang out in a summer house all weekend do for life, period. So it sounds like Bravo listened, and that's what we're getting. And then in kind of sad news, Yolanda Hadid's daughter Bella is suffering from Lyme disease, and that, you may recall, is the same disease that Yolanda, back then, she was Yolanda Foster. She was married to David Foster when she was on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and she struggled with Lyme disease, and that's when Rinna came out with the Munchausen's by proxy, or Munchausen's disease, and that was a big old scandal. And then it was kind of sucky because she did in fact have Lyme disease, and she was very ill. But sadly enough, her daughter is also struggling and suffering with the same disease. So let's wish her all our best and hope that she gets well soon and that she beats this crazy disease. I want to end by giving a shout out to Temecula Passport. Follow them on Instagram. I received my 2 passports, and what they are, if you're not familiar, I live close to Temecula wine country, and there are so many wineries up there. And these brilliant people, this brilliant young lady who I'm hoping to have on the podcast real soon. And her husband came up with the idea of a passport with each of the wineries in there. And then they give you these cute little stamps. You can write the date you visited, and then you can take notes on the wines you tasted, your favorite wines, and any other comments, so that when you come back, you know what you liked and what you didn't like, or what you bought, or what you tasted and never want to taste again. It's a brilliant idea. And yesterday, my friend Terry and I, shout out Terry, hope you're having a good day. We went out to wine country. I promised you I would go by the property that the Real Housewives of Orange County stayed at when they were in Temecula during those episodes. And I did. It's a beautiful home, but I couldn't get very much access. I will post a picture of the sign that I got and also of the gorgeous view from up there. But it looks to me like there is no winery. They do have vineyards, but they probably sell their grapes, or they, coordinate with someone else. Who knows? Anyway, this is pretty much just operating as, I guess, some sort of a rental home that, people like the housewives rent. And it can be pretty exorbitant, but there are other properties in the area that are a little better priced and a little smaller. Listen, I'm all for getting one of these houses, getting together with a few couples or a big group of girls and having a really fun weekend and just hanging out at the wineries and not having to worry about anything except spending quality time together. I think that would be really fun. So after the pictures at Vaquero, we headed to Wiens Cellars. I told you I would go there and taste and talk about what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy. I called today. I wasn't able to talk to Scott. He was the sommelier. Hey, Scott, who helped us yesterday. He poured us, and I wanted to confirm whether or not this was every day or just happened to be something that happened when we were there. But we were able to get a 2-for-1 $30 tasting, and it was really lovely. Now, I did tell Scott that I was reporting for the podcast, so he was very kind, very generous, and very, very informative. We spent, way longer than we expected to stay there because there was a lot to taste. And so I will tell you about a couple of the ones that I enjoyed. We started off with the sparkling. That's their Amor de l'Orange. And honestly, that was really nice. It was $34 a bottle, and it would be nice with somebody that, actually it was Scott, now that I think of it. Yeah, Scott told us that he likes to freeze orange juice into ice cubes and then drop it in his glass of de l'Orange, and it sounded yummy for a brunch. So that was just our little palate cleanser. And then I had a Vermentino that on a scale of 1 to 5, I gave it a 3. It's a 2024 Vermentino. I don't know. I think I found it a little bit bitter. And then I had a 24 Intento Bianco that I loved. That was delicious. That'll run you $34 a bottle. And then I tried a Gewürztraminer, which I was super, super surprised that I liked as much as I did. I gave it a 4. I thought it was very drinkable and enjoyable, and I even bought a bottle. You're welcome, honey. And then I tasted, moving on to the reds, a 2022 Red Crowded. This is one of their red blends. It's one of their most popular wines, and I understand why. I gave it a 5. I struggle with reds sometimes. The tannins get to me. Sometimes if they're too peppery, I don't enjoy them. And this one I could easily drink, no problem. Little pricey at $58 a bottle. But I did give it a 5 because I thought it was worth the $58 a bottle. And of course, if you're a member there, then you get a discount. Then I tried their fourfold, and it was a 2021, also $59 a bottle. I didn't care for that one quite as much, probably for the reasons that I just mentioned. And of course, we're getting into the bolder wines. He gave me a 2021 Petite Syrah that I enjoyed. I didn't think that I could have more than a glass of it. probably something my husband would enjoy. He likes a bolder red than I do, kind of a heavy red, and a Petite Syrah is obviously that. So, yeah, that one will run you $52 a bottle. And then the Bare Knuckle 2020, that was an off-menu item that I tasted. It was delicious. I don't have a price point for that because it was off-menu, but I'll give it a 4. And that's how we ended. Of course, my friend is a white wine drinker, so she stuck with the whites. But she enjoyed a good chunk of them, and I was impressed by the variety. I felt that as wineries go, they had a really nice selection, and I had a really good time. One of the drawbacks that I received by way of anonymous feedback is that sometimes their service could be inconsistent. And you could get not great service. And listen, for a wine taster, service is important. That's what'll make us join your club. So I don't know if it was just a fluke from this person that said this or if they have consistently seen this. But either way, I just wanted to share that little tidbit, just in case you're listening, Scott, because service matters, and it would be, I experienced amazing service. I need to go on record as saying that. But if in fact there is an issue with inconsistent service, that would make the difference between me frequenting a winery and not. So I just wanted to put that out there in hopes that, when we know better, we do better. And so after that, we went down to Old Town Temecula. We had a nice late lunch and walked around a little bit. And I met Shirley, who owns a few shops there in Old Town. And shout out Shirley. I told her that I'd love to have her on the podcast, so I'm going to reach out to her and see if she will join us. She is a badass woman business owner, and there is nothing that I love more than to support local business owners, especially if they're women, and even more so if they're women of color. So I am very, very excited that I am meeting all of these people that hopefully I could give some exposure to on the podcast. And so that'll do it for us. Thank you again. Shout out to Temecula Passport. They were part of my gifts that I won in that Instagram contest. And this weekend is Crush, so that's really cool. Thank you to Temecula Wineries for that gift, also part of my prize. And this weekend, I'm heading to Valle de Guadalupe for a girls' weekend wine trip. And I will be back to tell you all about all of the fabulous wine I tasted, all of the wonderful food I intend to eat, and all of the fun that I have with my friends. And then, of course, I think I mentioned it briefly, but I have confirmed that we, in fact, will have a guest co-host coming up to cover 90 Day Fiancé the other way. So we'll be getting you all caught up very soon here, and then we'll be covering it week to week. And you guys, don't forget, BravoCon's coming up November 14th. Book your tickets for your shows, make your reservations for your restaurants. I've already done that, and I'm telling you, it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, and I think we're like 10 weeks out. So get your act together if you haven't. And in case you haven't heard, the Living on the Verge podcast will be broadcasting all weekend from BravoCon 2025. Please hit me up in the DMs if you are going to BravoCon. We'll be setting up some get-togethers, and I want to make sure that we invite all of our listeners. So if you are going to be at BravoCon, please send us a DM, or you could email us at livingonthevergepodcast@gmail.com. But either way, get a hold of us and let us know so we could all get together and hang out and talk tea. If you're not going to BravoCon, rest assured, I will give you all you need to know, and I will be covering every angle that I possibly can. It's going to be a long, fun weekend. And in the next few weeks, I will be having a flashback to BravoCon 2023, and we'll talk all about my adventures on that fabulous weekend. But for now, you guys, we're done. That's it. Until next time, we'll be back, of course, with the Real Housewives of Orange County and the Real Housewives of Miami on Tuesday. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. You have the power to make it a great day. So do that. And in the meantime, I'll be over here making it a great day on my end while I'm living on the verge. Bye.